This is my Ring of Honor DVD review of ROH's Death Before Dishonor 6. Definitely got to say, this was probably Ring of Honor's second best show from 2008, other than Supercard of Honor 3, which was the best show, in my opinion, from last year. This is definitely the second best show, in my opinion, that I've viewed, and definitely a very good show from them. The first matchup was the Briscoes versus the Vulture Squad of Ruckus and Jigsaw. Pretty solid opener, nothing great, but at least a decent, solid opener from these two teams. You saw some good back and forth action from Mark Briscoe and Jigsaw in this match. Ruckus got in some of his high-flying maneuvers. Briscoes worked pretty good as a tag team in this match, like they always do. Obviously, they were highly over in New York. This is pretty much, I guess you could say, their run of the shows after Mark Briscoe suffered his injury, and they returned as a tag team the previous week at the double shot that they did at the New Horizons pay-per-view taping and the New Northern Navigation show. This was kind of another kind of like somewhat to build them up after they just returned as a tag team, kind of like just putting them on as the opener, kind of showcasing them. And you saw some good stuff in here, good back and forth action from both teams. Wasn't a long match, it was about 8-9 minutes, but pretty solid action from both teams. And Mark and Jay Briscoe pick up the victory after hitting the springboard Doomsday device, and Mark Briscoe pins Jigsaw in a 2 3/4 star match. Like I said, a pretty solid opener. The next matchup was probably the only match, at least in my opinion, that you could say was a terrible or a bad match on this whole entire DVD, and that was the Chris Hero versus Delirious match. From start to finish, I didn't find anything enjoyable from this match at all. This was pretty much a dud of a match, nothing that good. Chris Hero picks up the victory after hitting the Roar and elbow to Delirious in probably a 1 3/4 star match, and that's probably being pretty generous with it. I didn't find anything enjoyable with this match, and this whole Chris Hero young knockout gimmick. I'm one of those people that really despise and hate this gimmick. As far as his mic work in this gimmick, but his mic work's always good no matter what, so that's probably the only thing that he does good all the time is his mic work. And this type of character, he's not supposed to really try to do much in the ring, so I guess that makes sense in some cases. Now, the next matchup was Eddie Edwards versus Roger Strong. Now, this is going to be a match that I probably enjoyed a little more than some, mainly due to the fact I'm a huge Eddie Edwards fan, and I'm a huge Roger Strong fan as well, and saw some good back and forth action from these two. They exchanged a lot of chops back and forth, strikes, just a pretty solid match, kind of like the opener. Nothing great, but a pretty solid match from these two. And Eddie Edwards picks the victory up after Larry Schwinn gets on the ring apron, distracts the referee. Then Chris Hero comes in there, puts on a loaded elbow pad, hits a forearm to Roderick Strong. Then after that, Roderick Strong's knocked down. Then Eddie Edwards hits the K-Brada to Roderick Strong in a 2 3/4 star match. Pretty solid match, even though the ending was kind of a little lackluster, not that good, but it made sense, for Sweet and Sour Incorporated and kind of, build Eddie Edwards up. He got a upset victory of Roderick Strong, even though it was due to shady tactics. Now, the next matchup was easily the best match of the night, and I gotta say, this match really blew me away how great of a match it was, and this was the Adam Pearce versus Brent Albright match for the NWA World Heavyweight title. And this match, I was not expecting as much stuff from it. That the hype this match got, I knew it had to be good. Definitely, it was an excellent match. Really blew me away how great it was. This had a very good old school feel to it. You saw a lot of good selling in here. Got a lot of good in-ring psychology. Just a lot of great stuff in this match. Really enjoyed it. These two really worked very well with each other. And you saw a lot of good, submission maneuvers in here. You saw basically them going back and forth with Adam Pearce putting Brent Albright into the figure 4 leg lock. Then after that, you saw Brent Albright kind of reverse it into the crowbar submission. And the way this match ends is Adam Pearce was about to put Brent Albright into the figure 4 leg lock. Brent Albright got out of it, tried to roll him up, and only got the 2 count. Then after that, you saw him put him in the crowbar submission for the victory. Adam Pearce taps out, and Brent Albright at this time was the NWA World Champion. This only lasted for a month up until the Glory by Honor 7 show, and definitely a great match. If you're a fan of old school wrestling, you definitely love this match. It had like a great old school NWA heavyweight title feeling, like from an old 80s match, like a Harley Race match or Ric Flair, Steamboat, any of those type of classics from back in the 80s. definitely had that type of feel to it, and definitely was an excellent match and easily the best match of the night. 4.5 stars. The crowd popped very loud when Brent Albright won the NWA Heavyweight title at this time. Definitely a great match. And then the next matchup was Jimmy Jacobs, Austin Aries, and Necro Butcher. And this was pretty much a match that was put here for storyline purposes and further building what side is Necro Butcher on and further escalating what Jimmy Jacobs and Austin Aries are doing in their feud. And this match, the star rating I'm giving this match is more or less the match. They did some decent stuff in it, but like I said, more or less it was for storyline purposes. And that's kind of what the, I guess, star rating you could say somewhat was. What they did in this match was Necro Butcher was helping Jimmy Jacobs. Started off with a handicap match. Then at one point, Necro Butcher had his back turned, and Austin Aries kind of did the Eddie Guerrero thing where he hit Necro Butcher in the back with a chair, then fell down and threw the chair to Jimmy Jacobs, and Necro Butcher turned around, basically thinking that Jimmy Jacobs did this. The Necro Butcher beats down Jimmy Jacobs, then pretty much leaves the ring and pretty much leaves it to Austin Aries, saying, "I'm done with Jimmy Jacobs. You just do what you have to do, end it." And then you see Austin Aries hit the 450 for the victory, pinning Jimmy Jacobs in about a 2.5 star match. Saw some pretty solid stuff in the match. More or less the star rating, like I said, was for what the storyline they did in the match with Necro Butcher and, further escalating building of the Austin Aries and Jimmy Jacobs feud that they were doing. Then the next thing they did was a somewhat of a skit where this was the Delirious and Daisy Hayes and Rhett Titus thing, and Delirious comes out here, calls Daisy Hayes out. He finally asks Daisy Hayes out on a date. Then Rhett Titus comes out here, like he always does, interrupts Delirious. And then after this, Rhett Titus leaves the ring, and Daisy Hayes and Delirious are in there. Then Daisy Hayes gets on the mic, say, pretty much, let's just be friends. And then Delirious, kind of looks a little sad, or at least his body motions look like that, since obviously he's wearing a mask. And then, following the next show after this is when, after this he turns heel and joins the Age of the Fall. And this was like the start of, you could tell something was going to change with Delirious's character. Next matchup was Naomichi Marufuji versus Go Shiozaki in a Pro Wrestling Noah showcase match. Like you would expect, these two worked very good with each other, good back and forth action. Really enjoyed this match. Marufuji picks up the victory after hitting the pole ship, which is pretty much the best way to explain it. It's kind of like a Fisherman Buster into a Michinoku driver. It's pretty much the best way I can explain that maneuver if you haven't seen it before. In a 4 1/4 star match. Very good stuff from them. Then the next matchup was a tag team match with the Motor City Machine Guns of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin versus Kevin Steen and El Generico. Pretty much, two of the best tag teams in the world with them. The Briscoes and LAX definitely, Motor City Machine Guns versus Kevin Steen and El Generico definitely showcasing two of the best tag teams in the world at this point, especially the two best U.S. tag teams, in my opinion, other than, the Briscoes, which are my favorite. And this was very good stuff in here, like you'd expect. A lot of good double teaming from the Motor City Machine Guns. Great tag team work from both teams. You saw some good stuff with El Generico and Chris Sabin in this match. The only thing that I didn't see enough of in this match was Kevin Steen and Alex Shelley in the ring, which was one of the things I was looking forward to, a lot. That was the only down point of this match, which you didn't see them two in the ring that often, but you saw some stuff with them. You saw some good back and forth action, a lot of frequent tags back and forth on both teams. Pretty much at one point you saw them doing back and forth tags with Motor City Machine Guns, pretty much keeping El Generico in their corner. Then when Kevin Steen and El Generico, you saw Sabin, in their corner, back and forth tags with them. Just a very good tag team match with these two. Kevin Steen and El Generico pick up the victory after Kevin Steen puts Chris Sabin into the sharpshooter for the victory, with Chris Sabin tapping out in a 4-star match. Definitely some very good stuff in that match. Then the next matchup was the main event of the night, and that was the ROH World Title match, which was the 4-way elimination match with Claudio Castagnoli versus Bryan Danielson versus Tyler Black versus Nigel McGuinness. Very good match, good 4-way. You saw some excellent stuff in here, like you'd expect. All these 4 have, really meshed well and put on good matches against each other, like Nigel McGuinness and Tyler Black. Everyone knows how great the Danielson and Nigel McGuinness feud is. Tyler Black and Danielson's put on some epic matches in 2008, and Claudio, has worked good against all of them as well. So you pretty much expected this match, no matter what, was going to be very good. It was definitely in my opinion, the second best match of the night, right behind the NWA World Heavyweight Title match. And the way the eliminations went was Claudio Castagnoli was the first one to get eliminated after hitting the pop-up European uppercut to Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson versus it into a roll-up. Then after this is when Claudio Castagnoli pretty much snaps. He turns heel. He pretty much gets pissed off. Pretty much promo he did before this match earlier in the night was pretty much saying that this might be the last time I might get a ROH World Title shot. Pretty much he figured that out. He snapped, and it snapped on Bryan Danielson. He attacked him. Security came out there, tried to hold him back. Then he got out of the ring. They were holding him back. Then he got a steel chair, got back in the ring. Bryan Danielson was laid out, and you saw him put a steel chair on the top of Bryan Danielson's head and stomp down on it. Then you saw Nigel McGuinness there pretty much knowing that he could get the cheap victory and get rid of one of his toughest rivals, Bryan Danielson, very quick. Then Nigel McGuinness, after this, pretty much picks up pretty much knocked out Bryan Danielson, hits him with the lariat, then eliminates him. So Bryan Danielson's eliminated. Then the final two are Nigel McGuinness and Tyler Black. Like you'd expect, these two did some excellent stuff, just like they did at the Take No Prisoners pay-per-view. They took on each other, and definitely the crowd is really into Tyler Black. I don't know if it's pretty much they definitely like him a lot, but more or less it's pretty much the fans want someone to defeat Nigel McGuinness. It's pretty much anyone would get cheered against Nigel McGuinness, in my opinion, since he's playing such a great heel. And Tyler Black, you saw some great stuff in here, good back and forth action with them two to end the match. Pretty much same way like their Take No Prisoners match. Tyler Black pretty much takes everything from Nigel McGuinness. Definitely looks like he's going to almost defeat Nigel McGuinness. Then Nigel McGuinness hits a number of lariats to Tyler Black to finally eliminate him, with Nigel McGuinness retaining the ROH World Title in a 4 1/4 star match. Definitely the second best match of the night, like I said, right behind the NWA title match. And overall, I'll give this show a 9 out of 10. Definitely a must-buy, excellent show. You saw some great tag team wrestling within the match with the Motor Machine Guns versus Kevin Steen and Generico. An excellent NWA title match with Brent Albright and Adam Pearce. Great world title 4-way elimination match. And definitely a good showcasing of the Pro Wrestling Noah Superstars and the Naomichi Marufuji versus Go Shiozaki. And pretty much everything else on the whole entire event was pretty much solid, with the only thing, like I said, being terrible on here was the Chris Hero and Delirious match. So definitely I would recommend this show to anyone. Definitely a must-buy. Like I said, the best Ring of Honor show from 2008, right behind Supercard of Honor 3. And yeah, that's it. Peace.